Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for this week's episode of When I Grew Up. On today's episode, it's my pleasure to welcome my guest, John Song. Hey John, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. How have you been, like in general?
I've been good. It's been a transition time this year. The pandemic. Also, Jennifer and I became homeowners this year, which
That's
was
right.
that there was a lot of things that I was not prefaced to, and it's been a really interesting season of life because there's just so much that comes with owning a home as far as fixing things, wanting to change things inside of your house, things that don't really appeal to your particular aesthetic, and then seeing how much that would cost to change, getting stressed out about that, um, not having a landlord to call when things break anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, I'm in my basement of my house right now. I have a leak that's like over by this blue thing over
Oh
here.
man.
And that's been fun to figure out how to fix.
Are you
Um,
doing it yourself? Are you trying to figure out stuff yourself? Like how to fix it?
as much as I can. But I took 2 weeks off for the move and then for doing any sort of renovations. And then I've been traveling again for work. And so that's kind of been a challenge. Just leaving tasks and projects incomplete and then having to leave the house and come back to it. And, you know, my wife just like maneuvering around the mess that I've made, living in the same space as that. Yeah, it has been quite a challenge, but there's nothing like having a place that, you can, I guess, call your own when it
Yeah.
comes to, yeah, we've been renting for like 8 years since we've been married. And then before that, I've been living all up around Atlanta renting. So, but it is nice. It's a huge blessing and I'm very thankful, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, just a lot of things that you don't really expect, just like, oh, buying a fridge. Okay. That's
Right.
like,
Right.
that's like 2 grand.
Right.
And then you're just like, ooh, okay. Yeah. That's like money,
Yeah, I
you know?
completely understand. I think um us too when well, congratulations by the way. It really
Oh,
is a big deal buying a
thank you.
home. But I feel you. Like when we bought our house, I think my husband really, David, really had no idea. Like well because I think I'm not really the finance person of the household either. And David was handling all the big stuff and I think he was just overwhelmed as well. And then now, we've been here for a couple years now at our house and everything you're saying too, like every time there's something broken, I'm like, crap. Like
Yes.
everything just happening at once. Like we had to replace our water heater recently because
Mm,
it's like 25 years old, 30 years old, and it finally just
mm.
kind of like started leaking. And I was like the whole thing? We had to replace the whole thing? Why can't we just fix
Yes.
it? But
Nope.
yeah, so I feel you. But yeah, but it sounds like Jennifer was on here a couple of weeks ago and she was telling me that things were kind of crazy with the house and the move and stuff, but it's good. It's like, to bigger and better things.
Amen. To bigger and better things. Yes.
But you mentioned you had been traveling for work and stuff, but that's why you're really here today to tell me about what you do, John. So, what is it that you do for work?
Um, I guess I split this question into two parts. There is what I like to do and then what I do to make money.
Okay.
So I guess my trade, what I do for a living is I am a photographer, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm an actor. Those are the
Oh yes,
three.
congrats by the way on the commercial. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, the acting thing is like 2 months old, but I've shot like three commercials now, so I guess I could say that I am
No, you're
acting.
definitely an actor.
Yeah, I mean, I have received payment for my services and that, so I guess I am acting now. But so yeah, the three main like umbrellas of what I do for my work is photography, filmmaking, video, and acting. And within photography, I sometimes am the photographer. I sometimes fulfill a role called a digital tech, which is basically like the technical like mastermind of behind the whole photo shoot.
Hmm.
Digital techs connect the camera to their laptop, and when the photographer takes photographs, the images come into the laptop instead of going to an SD card or a memory card inside the camera. That's like a newer role that's been kind of invented with technology. And then I also photo assist other photographers in town. Photo assisting is basically you setting up lights and helping the photographer achieve the look that they're trying to get with
Okay.
lighting. Um, and then with filmmaking, I am a camera operator, but then I also fulfill roles like called gaffers, which is basically a lighting person on set. And I don't really play as a grip. A grip is like somebody that helps a gaffer like set stands and like build um, different like setups with like light stands. I don't really do that as much. And then I'll sometimes do things as like I'll be what's called an assistant camera, an AC.
Mhm.
So they assist the camera operators. I do that sometimes, but for the most part, those two, or I guess those three things is my trade. And then what I like to do is I like to make music, design clothing. Those are like my passions.
Oh, wow. Um,
Hmm.
okay, so a lot to hit on, a lot to talk about. And first of all, like you guys, I was telling John before this that me asking him to come on this podcast was really like belated and asking because I was kind of intimidated by John.
No,
No, and actually, and your wife too. Because,
no.
I feel like, in Atlanta, you guys as far as the creative scene goes, like your household names, honestly. And
That's
I don't like I'm not like I don't feel that I'm, putting you on a pedestal or anything. I really mean it. I mean it. And people know
thank
you
you.
guys, and I feel like it's because you guys produce work and produce art that is meaningful and impactful. So again, I feel humbled that that you guys have decided to help me out in resourcing the next generation in Atlanta.
Blair, honestly, like it's thank you so much. And what it really all boils down to is the community. Like you're a creator as well. You're creating this podcast, and I support creative people,
Mm.
and you're one of them. And you know, I guess like I understand why you would feel a certain way about asking, and like because it's I guess it's that fear of rejection because I deal
Oh
with it
no,
too.
definitely. It's definitely fear of
Yeah.
rejection.
Like I deal with that all the time, even in my field. Like I
Mm.
deal with producers that I bid on jobs and I don't get them, and sometimes it hurts. So like, but as far as Jennifer and I are concerned, like when it comes to this podcast, you are building this thing up and you have a great vision behind it, and we are huge supporters of it. So thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm super grateful as well. I'd love to know, um, well, so I guess, John, what is your day to day like? Like when you wake up, is it the same? I would imagine it's very different as you're a freelancer, a contractor, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Some days I'm waking up at like 5:30 in the morning to be on set by like 7. Some days I'm waking up at 9:45 and taking my day slow. It really depends on um what I have to do, the tasks that have been laid out for me in my calendar. Um some days I'm working photo shoots. Some
Mm-hmm.
days I am working video shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I am on set as an actor. Well, I guess only 3 days so far, but yeah. So I only 3 days I've been working as an actor.
3 days
Um,
more than most of us. So,
well, I guess to go back on that, I am auditioning. So like, I guess like the real work is submitting self tape
mm,
auditions for these roles
okay.
that I get like asked to audition for at
Isn't
home.
that hard, like not auditioning in front of people?
It's Yeah, it's like really weird. Like you're just have like I actually just finished an audition for a um automobile oil company before we did this podcast today, and I had to act out putting oil inside of a car without the car being there.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they asked me to submit 2 takes of that. So it's like it's really strange having to do that.
Oh man, I hope you get
Yeah.
it so that I can see what that looks like.
I hope I get it too because it pays pretty good, and it's really fun getting because when you're on like behind the camera, it's much harder work than being in front of the camera to me.
Sorry, when you're behind the camera, it's much harder work than being in front of the camera. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so being an actor is easier for me
Okay.
than shooting it because shooting it gets really technical, lots of lighting. Um, all my job I so what I describe myself to be is a expert problem solver, but
Mm.
I just use cameras and technology.
Um, how do you get different jobs? Like, because you're all of those things. You're wearing so many hats. Like, yeah, is there like a source of like of finding jobs?
Um,
Knowing people? Is that what it is?
I would say networking is 99% of everything. Because the community that exists here in Atlanta, that is in the filmmaking and photo community, is it gets really small
Mm.
once you start to meet and rub shoulders with a lot of different people. Um, I will admit I've been freelancing since 2017,
Mm.
and I've only gotten one job through somebody reaching out to me on my website.
Oh, wow.
So in almost 5 years, it's only been one email that actually turned into work.
Oh, wow.
Every Everything else is through word of mouth
Mm.
and through the relationships I build with people when I'm on set.
That's interesting. So how did you get your foot in the door in like starting to network with people?
Um, so my career started in 2009. Um, I started interning at a recording studio in West Midtown called Icon.
Oh, that's like a big one.
Icon is famous for discovering Justin Bieber.
Oh, that's why it sounds familiar to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
he
How did you how did you intern there?
so I went back to college to get my degree, and then my At the time, brother-in-law, his sister-in-law referred me to get an internship at that recording
Oh,
studio.
wow.
So I went there, I got the position. I interned at the recording studio for 9 months. And then as soon as I got my degree, I think I was 25 or 26 years old when I got my degree. And then
What did you get your degree in?
I got my degree in supply chain with a focus on efficiencies from Georgia State University. It's basically a managerial science degree from
Okay.
Georgia State. Yeah. I don't even think they
That
call it
seems random
managerial.
to me, just a little I know about you, but okay.
Well, so the reason why I went back to school was because prior to that, I had basically hit rock bottom in my life.
Mm,
Um, I was stuck in a deep pattern of drugs and alcohol.
mm,
And I hit the most rock bottom that I think like my version of my human existence could ever experience. And then I gave my life back to Jesus. And then I told God, I made a deal with God. I said, I'm going to leave music and all the bad stuff. And then I'm just going to live a normal life like everybody else.
mm.
I'm not going to chase this dream of being this rapper, DJ person. Like, I just want to have a normal life, make normal money, and just be happy. So I went back to school.
Wow.
I went back to school. Got my degree in business, and then that opportunity to work at the recording studio came up as soon. And then that was like I guess my quote unquote senior year of college. And then, yeah, and then I got offered a management position to be the manager of the recording studio as soon as I got my degree. And then that's
That's
how like I was able to get back into the creative field.
that's says a lot about you to me because I feel like at a place like Icon and working as an intern, I worked as a PA in several sets before and things like that. And I know an internship there must have been not the easiest, I would imagine, in the
Yeah,
beginning.
it would especially being 25 when like there are other interns that were like 18, 19, and
Sure.
then you're at the
Yeah.
same level. But it was fulfilling work for me because I got to see the side of the music industry that I've never seen before. Like one of my big clients, that first big client that I worked with while I was at the recording studio, was Music Soul Child, who I had been a huge fan of his music for a very long time. And he just,
That's insane.
yeah, we became friends. And he like just like became like the homie. And
Wow.
then I've worked with like Young Jeezy, um, T Pain, Ti,
So like as an intern, like what were you doing? Like you were, yeah, what were you doing?
assistant audio engineer. Sometimes it's more like managing the studio, making sure that like your clients are happy. So like if they need food, you do the food orders for them and you go out on food runs. If like they need more alcohol, then like, you'll go out and like, pick up the alcohol for them. This is like 09, 2010. So this is like way before like Uber Eats and like all those delivery. So like
Right,
I'm like
right.
I'm like driving out there going to like package stores, picking up like 10 bottles of tequila or whatever,
Right.
like just random stuff. And like, if they want cigarettes or anything, you have to go to the gas station, get cigarettes. Like that's like intern duties. And then just you sit in the room with them and you just make sure that they're happy, and when they're recording, that everything is up to a certain standard. Yeah,
Wow.
so yep.
Okay, so
And
you
then
get this manager role after 9 months,
mhm.
and then what happens?
And then I just start bossing around the other interns, telling them what they need to do. That's basically, yeah. And then, still do some audio engineering here and there. But mostly it's just like studio management, intern management. Like I had like 12 interns I had to manage at the time.
Wow.
A lot of training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you said you got your degree in supply chain management. So all this audio stuff that you're doing, even like your video and photography now, like it's nothing like you didn't study any of this.
No, no,
So
all
are
of
you just self-taught or you had mentors or
I did have mentors. So my first mentor with when it came to being an audio engineer, his name was Blake Eisman. Um, Fantastic engineer.
Mm,
He's the one that really taught me how to operate Pro Tools professionally and to be able to get paid for it. He's the one that taught me about outboard gear. He's the reason why I know that behind your right shoulder, that's a Focusrite
oh
mic
yes.
pre, like stuff like that. Like I can point things out. I I learned about signal chain. Basically, like any major recording studio at the time, I don't know about now, but at the time I felt very comfortable and I knew how to work any room that I walked into. Yeah, so Blake was like my first big mentor that took the time out to like he taught me how to be a professional when it came to audio engineering and mixing.
Mm.
And but yeah, other than that, it was like trial and error, recording my own music, and then just YouTube. A lot of
YouTube
stuff on YouTube.
University, yes.
YouTube University. Yeah. The only things that I use from college is like my accounting degree or like my accounting classes for like managing my money and stuff like that. But
Honestly,
um
John, that's probably more than most. I don't use my degree at all.
oh, I would say maybe BCom,
Oh.
business communication, because BCom was for me that was a that was all about public speaking, so that helped me with my
Mm,
confidence speaking in front of a crowd.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long do you stay at this studio until you kind of move on to the next chapter?
So during my time at the recording studio, my boss, he had a client that was signed to him that was a singer,
Uh-huh.
and she wanted to start making YouTube videos. Like back then, I guess 2009, 2010, like covering different songs from already famous artists was like a huge, like that was a huge thing. A lot
Yeah,
of
I
people were
remember.
doing it. I mean,
Mm,
Jennifer was doing it. That's how I
yeah.
discovered Jennifer. So that's when I started to shoot videos. And that's how I learned how to use a camera. I was using a camera before then for like little stuff. Like my mom bought me this like cheap Canon camera and I was helping her with her ecom business because my parents they did art and framing. That was like our family business growing up.
Uh-huh.
So like I would help her sell art on online through like eBay.
Oh,
So I would do
okay.
all like the ecom photography for that. Um, it wasn't the best photography though; it was really bad. But so like and then like my ex-girlfriend was really into photography, so like I knew my way around a camera and like I was always interested in shooting, but I actually never started shooting it until I was doing these cover videos for this singer. And then so I did that's how I got into like video, just like shooting these cover videos for my boss's client. It was with this like Nikon D3100.
Uh-huh.
It shot like 720p. It wasn't a video camera at all. It's just like a DSLR. And then that blossomed into other things. Like I started shooting rap videos for rappers that would come into the studio that would like pay for studio time that weren't necessarily famous, and then like I'd cut them a deal. And then so I and then I that's when I started like shooting videos and started getting into like production. And then through all my research of figuring out how people shoot YouTube videos, because I was researching for my boss's client that I was shooting videos for. That's how I discovered Jennifer. And then I
Which is
became
so
a,
crazy. If you haven't heard
yeah,
this story, please go listen to Jennifer's podcast.
yeah. Yeah, and then I discovered Jen, and I it was her Frank Ocean Thinking About You cover that she did, and I was like, yo, this is really dope. So, and that's when I found her on Instagram and I started following her. And then a year later, like January 8th, I was throughout the year I would like her pictures and stuff like that she would post. And then on January 8th, she responded back to me, and then we got married 4 months later.
You guys are like in a drama, like a TV drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
this story. It doesn't get old every time I hear it. It's so great. I'm like,
Yeah.
so you're just like, okay, not to put you on the spot, John, but you had just mentioned that you're kind of an introverted guy. It just seems like a bold move. Like,
Well, actually, Jen was the first one to do the bold move because I never commented on anything. She was the one that like commented back first. So
oh.
she talked to me first, and then that's how we
And
started
then you were
talking.
like, let's get married? Is that what happened?
Well, yeah, I downloaded Kakao Talk because I didn't know what that was at the
Uh-huh.
time because she was in Korea. And then yeah, and then I downloaded Kakao Talk, and then I think I think we Skyped for like 36 hours straight
I
once.
love it. I love
And
this
then
kind of stuff. I'm such a
that's
romantic.
yeah, like we both like fell asleep and then we woke up and the Skype was still there.
Oh my
It was
gosh, this is a Korean drama.
it's like stuff like that. And then like that's how we knew, like that's how I knew that like I think this woman's supposed to be my wife because like um I think the reason why I was so attracted to Jennifer was because like um I had just recovered from a very dark past
Yeah,
involving a lot of addiction and
yeah.
bad decision making. And Jennifer like is she is not that person. Like Jennifer does not like to party.
Mm,
Jennifer does not like to drink. Jennifer like despises drugs or anybody that like she doesn't despise people that takes drugs, but like it's like a huge um that's a huge red flag for her. So like
sure, yeah.
I knew that God was putting Jennifer in my life because like I needed somebody that loved me for who I was, but also helped me to stay accountable and help me to fight my addictions head on.
Wow.
So that I wouldn't relapse into, um, you know, going back into doing more of the hard stuff that I
Yeah.
was like really wrestling with, lots of pills, lots of powder,
Mm.
that sort of thing. So yeah, it was cuz my my like I guess you could say my default taste in women are usually those that I see that are going to be at the club, that
Sure.
has that particular aesthetic.
Mm.
Um, but I knew that if I were to get with somebody like that, then like my life would just go in reverse again and I would fall back into the same traps.
Well, then it really is a gift, you and Jennifer, because it's, I'm realizing as we get older, like it's like falling in love with somebody is a almost a miracle. Because like, two people have to like each other at the same time.
Yeah,
And that doesn't happen like just out of chance. And I just feel like what you just said, yeah, that's from God. Jennifer
right.
and you are from God because yeah, for sure. But I have to ask you, John, like,
Hmm.
if you don't mind,
Yeah.
and if you do mind, just say I don't want to talk about it. But you said, your past and all of that, like, um it was a big thing to overcome. But I also know that like with addiction, you know, that it's an everyday struggle. Is this something that you still have to struggle with?
Yes.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Certain triggers.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's something that'll stick with you forever, I think.
I mean, and especially, I don't know, you're in the entertainment or creative
Mhm.
industry. I don't know. I kind of assume that it's more exposure. I have no idea. I'm totally
I
ignorant, but
I can honestly say that um the people that are in my community, um it's a bunch of very solid people that,
mm,
that don't really there isn't many people that like are into like hard stuff, you know. They might partake in some marijuana or something like that, very hippie-ish like style type of
mhm,
things, just like more of like a social thing, but like it's never yeah, like I'm not like surrounded by people that are like, you know, doing the harder things that I was doing when I was younger. So
right.
I'm surrounded by a lot of great people from all different walks of life, and I think the triggers more come from like if I um, see old friends
I
or
see.
people that knew me from those times,
That makes sense.
and then those friends that are still, I don't want to say stuck in those patterns, but like don't really that just like prefer to live that sort of life, and like that's the choice that they made. More power to them.
Mm,
I don't want to judge, but I think it's just those moments where it's a little bit more difficult to refrain from dealing with that. And but that's why Jennifer has been such a huge ray of light in
yeah.
my life, because she has helped me to re-identify what the source of my existence
Mm,
is, and it's not in me trying to chase this feeling that I once felt when I did these things back in the past. It's more about redefining and reestablishing my identity in like heavenly things, and like understanding that I am much more than just like wanting to relapse into any sort of um bad behavior, or not bad behavior, but just like that sort of behavior
yeah.
that that alters my state of mind,
Yeah.
grasping what's always in front of me rather than is like the escapism part of it,
Yeah.
of not being able to deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love that. And I love that Jennifer can be like truly part of sanctifying you, John. Like, I mean, that's what marriage is, right? Like,
Yeah.
man, that's awesome.
She whipped me into shape.
Yeah.
I charred because of my wife, honestly. Like, yo. But I mean, like, look, man, I still have some nights sometimes I go out to Pocha and like I'm a mess, like I like I'm not like the thing is like I don't despise it. I don't turn my back on it. It's
Mm,
just I know how to control it better now. And like
mm,
there are days when like, yeah, I'll go out with my homies and like we'll just like go drink and like, we'll have a good time. And but it's not like how it was like back in the day. Like it's a more mature experience. I mean, I'm 37 now. Nobody wants to see like some belligerent fool out here, like some weird looking ajashi with like bleached gray hair, trying too hard, like out here on Pleasant Hill
oh
doing
man.
all that. But I think like, yeah, I wouldn't say that. The thing is like I think, and I use this in like God created in me an identity to help to like reach out to people that have this like some sort of similar struggle when it came to that sort of life, because like I know what that's like. I know what
Yeah.
it's like to have to struggle with that. I know what it's like to be surrounded by people that all they know is party and stuff like that. So like, it kind of turn me into a chameleon and like, turn me into a version of somebody that can bring insight to a young person that could potentially be stuck in the same patterns that I was in.
No,
So I
absolutely. I feel like your experiences is something definitely I cannot relate to with other people if they're in the same situation as you just described. And
right.
that word chameleon is like that makes sense to me, you know?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Cause like I hear like, the types of things that I hear is like, I have friends who's like I have a friend whose close friend recently got murdered.
Mm,
I have a friend who was the victim of domestic violence.
mm,
Like I saw the photos of this person's face, like completely bruised up. So it's like I get to have the opportunity to encounter people that have issues that go beyond like
yes.
what I was used to hearing being raised in like a middle class
Yes.
suburban Asian community. Like, so God has positioned me to be a light to these people that like are dealing with like, I know young women that have gotten abortions and like have
Mhm.
to deal with that trauma for the rest of their lives if they, there's like stuff like that where it's like I feel like I get exposed to the hurt of people that are not from the everyday sort of life. And I feel blessed to be in that position to like
Yeah.
be in this like to be in this like middle ground where like I do know what the love of God and what having faith can do for your life. But then I also like I'm not too far gone to the point where like I just like try to like have an altar call every time like I
Yes.
see somebody. It's like praise him. You gotta
Yeah.
forgive your sins. Like you gotta ask for forgiveness. Like I don't, because like that could be like that could turn somebody off. So it helps me to just be like the homie and be like, oh dang, like yeah, tell me about that. And then we
Yeah.
get to have conversations. And then it's like, like have you ever read this passage in the script? It's like, you just like kind of
Yeah.
be gotta be like
Yeah.
slick with it and like slide it in,
Yeah.
even if like the response is like negative, at least like you still like, and like one day they might read that and be like, wow, that really spoke to me. And then that's like the seed that gets planted or whatever.
Yeah. For sure. No,
Yeah.
I mean, your authenticity in general, John, I think is very like welcoming. So I can see how God has really gifted you in that area. It's if just living this, I mean, if I have to call it something like a missional life, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
but
I
man, I
understand.
totally got off topic. But it's great. I love this.
No, it's, I mean, like, because a part of why I continue to do what I do is because like, you know, I have to continue to answer the calling of what I feel like my mission is in
Yeah.
life. And that is to first off love people. And then secondly, like my goal is to help to diversify the creative scene in Atlanta because like there are not that many Asian people that are trying to do a lot of like, especially in the commercial space. We have a lot of Asian creative people like that are killing it, but when
Hmm.
it comes to like the people that are shooting all the big name commercials for like big name companies in Atlanta, like Delta, Chick-fil-A, Coca-Cola, Home Depot, like all of those crews are predominantly like white that are getting those jobs.
Wow.
So like, I now see my calling as like the reason why I continue to fight and the reason why I work hard in the space that I'm in is because like I eventually want to help leverage more diversity in those spaces as well. And that's
Yeah.
like that's part of the mission that I see. And um
Okay, so my question is, that's, I mean, for me, I'm like, yes, that's why, that's another reason I'm doing this podcast too, right? Is like more representation and to see people like you and my other guests that are really doing it, that, and someone that looks like them is doing it. But I have my reasons, but like, why do you feel like that's important?
I feel like I feel like it's important because there are so many creative people in our community that are Asian, and for whatever reason there are so many young people like myself that felt like that doing that thing was unattainable
Mm-hmm.
because there was no example that was being shown. For me, why did I start playing tennis? Because Michael Chang. Like, why did I do martial arts? Because of Bruce Lee. It's like these are natural things as an American, Korean American person that is like or Asian American. It's like I gravitate to what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And like people that I identify with on the TV or movies that I see, whatever media throws at me, like that's what's going to I guess like that's what's going to dictate what my actions are going to be, right? The reason why I got into like the reason why I even considered maybe rap to be an option was because of Jin the MC. I saw him on BET and I was like, wow, he
Yes.
can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah.
So like that was he was a huge inspiration for me back then because before then it was like this is just strictly black music.
Mm.
And then I see Jin and then I see Eminem and I'm like, wow, it's like starting to diversify, like things are opening up. So like if I position myself in my like 40s and 50s to be somebody that is like directing large scale productions, then hopefully some young people can see that and I can inspire those to like actually go after and chase their dreams of wanting to be a photographer, wanting to make films or do anything like that. Like that's the reason why I work so hard is because like I truly believe that talent is like universal and like
Mm.
creativity is universal and like if they want to go for it they should and it's already happening. Like there's so many dope Asian artists everywhere. It's just I'm only trying to master my arena in the areas that I'm present in right now, so hopefully like I could provide a path for somebody that could potentially see a similar thing,
Yeah, that's
you know. And like honestly, at this point, I'm 37. There's no turning back. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I have to go forward. Like, I have
no,
to do this thing. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, it's just, but it's like also just like this is what God gave me
mm,
as like my this is my life that He gave me, and like
yeah,
you know, I have a choice of like, am I supposed to turn away from it? Am I supposed to blame God for giving me a bad for dealing me a bad hand or just like run with it and just be show gratitude and like be happy with it,
yeah.
you know.
So as far as your craft goes, in photography and filmmaking and stuff, you mentioned uh that you started with YouTube videos. Now, I'm assuming because you continue to do that is like kind of when you realized you did enjoy it. Is that why you continued? Because you enjoyed it, or was the pay good, or why did you continue? You were good at it.
I think it's because it's a combination of everything. To anybody like to anybody that um I mean, even for you, like I'm sure that there are moments where like you're editing the podcast and you're like, oh my God, this is taking forever. Like, like it you get pushed to the limit of like questioning what your passions are.
Mm,
So I mean, yeah, like money is obviously for me like a huge motivator just because like I realize that um I do I am I am very partial to a particular quality of life. Like
mm,
I think comfort is something that I work for. I work hard so that I can keep my thermostat at like 72 if I want to. Like I just need to have like I love the environment, but it cannot be stuffy in the crib, bro. Like it cannot be stuffy in the crib. Like I need like cool air or else I get headaches, like all this stuff. So like I mean stuff like that where just being real to myself and like, I love clothes. Like I love dressing up, like I love fashion, like I love technology, like I love cameras and that stuff's expensive and I love music gear, music technology. So like it's just like I do my job to fuel my interests and so that Jennifer and I could have like a life where, we can I guess be mentally in a place that's comfortable so that we could continue to hopefully one day serve others in a more major way more and more as we continue to walk and go down this path of life that God has given us. It's a selfish thing to really like because it's always teeter tottering. Um, leveraging your talents for good is one of the hardest things to do in a capitalistic society.
yeah, sure. Hmm.
Um, because in my line of work, like I get approached by a lot of people that want to exploit my talents, and in exchange for that, they pay me a large paycheck. And you get addicted to that feeling. Like you get a job that pays like 10 grand, like after that check clears, it's like, yo, I need another one of those. And
Mm,
like then you get stuck in that. And that literally the rat race. And then you're competing with other people that want the same thing. So like
yeah.
if you back down, then like somebody else is gonna get the bag, and you can't position other people to do that. So I don't know. I mean, I am a shark. Like I do have this. I'm a very competitive person as well. Like I do have this thing about me that like it not only is it for like my own self confidence, but I feel like it's like just the thing that drives me and helps me to keep going
Yeah.
because I am like one quote away from like constantly falling into an existential crisis of questioning why do I
Oh
have to
gosh,
continue?
John.
Every day is like, but I mean, like, so the things that keep me grounded is like, I want to see Asian American creative people kill it.
Mm,
I want to see, I want to give my wife the type of life that she's never had before. And like, hopefully, like in my, when I'm in a financial position, like one of my big dreams is to start a community center or a church that's like,
yes, man. Please, please. I support you.
I want to create something that like, I want to create something that like puts the people first and like so it's like rather than having service on Sunday, I want my services to be like we go somewhere and serve somewhere. Like every Sunday is like some we go to serve a place and then we have service on like Wednesday or Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's my vision for what I think church should become in the future. Like I think I don't know, that's a whole other podcast. I don't want to get too religious about this, but like I
No, but
just
it's great. I think, man, I'm
yeah.
just um admittedly, I mean, Jennifer too, but did Jennifer tell you we met in college before? Did you know this?
Yeah, I did know this.
You
Yeah.
did?
Yeah. I remember this story. Yeah.
But Jennifer too, but you as well. I think, when I see you guys, like we run into each other in random places, um and we met, I think, just making you made a video for Everest and came to my house and recorded it. And that was when the first time I really talked to you, I feel like, and kind of you're
Mhm.
sharing a little bit of your heart as well. And you even told me about the community center that you were thinking about during that time. And I always I'm like, man, what is this guy's story? And I think hearing you talk about a lot of things today that I find extremely inspiring and really encouraging for young creatives here in Atlanta, especially ones that look like us. Um, and I know that we didn't get to talk about the technical aspects of your job, but for me, what is important is talking about the purpose behind what we do. It's not always about what we do; it's like why we do it. And I
Yeah.
really am grateful for your heart in sharing that with me today. Um, I try to like keep it to an hour, and I feel like I could talk to you forever, but
Yeah. No.
but
It's
John, I
great
have
talk.
what's that?
It was a great talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
great talk.
Well, I mean, before we end our time, I wanted to ask, I think you did mention a lot of things like that you do enjoy about your job, but like, is there something in particular? I know there's the vision, right, and the reason, but um, as far as like going into work, is there something that you love most about your job?
I think the best feeling that I get from my job is when the vision and the pre-planning gets executed properly and the final result of what you create is off the hook. It's amazing.
Yes.
That to me, if there's anything that keeps me doing what I do, it's that feeling of the success that comes from seeing something that you did get done very well and it looks or sounds amazing. That's like that's my favorite part of my job and what I do.
Yeah. So, um, is it like which part of your job, is it all of it, but which part of your job is like requires you to um like see that happen, like from start to finish?
So when I'm if I'm photographing
Uh-huh.
and the things that I photograph actually turn out the way that I envision them to be.
Okay. So usually do you like have to come up with what it is, like
Yeah.
the theme or whatever?
hmm Everything
Okay.
from the lighting, the styling,
Mm.
all that stuff. And then,
How do you
you
start
know,
that process? Like what do you like you just think of it or like
no, you like, I often look at other people's work,
Mm.
people that I see on Instagram, like some of my like creative mentors that like are, geniuses in their own right. Um, like you get to see other you're just doing the research. It's like the same thing as like R&D for like if you're building something or
Okay.
it's just like deep diving and exploring whether it's like through books or the internet or just like talking with friends and they show you stuff and then you get inspired by that. Um, just like and then sometimes it's like you take bits and pieces of that and then you put your own twist on it and then just like bring it to life. Those types of things. Yeah, it just comes from everywhere, I guess. You
Mm,
know, you just see something and it's like, ooh, I kind of like that. I want to try
mm.
to do something like that, you know. And then just it's more about the execution and like having the energy to actually follow through with it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it's really rewarding to see your work and it done well.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
probably the best feeling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you said you do a lot, like some lighting work too. Do you enjoy that? So, okay, so side note, um, I studied mass media arts and film. So
Okay.
all the words that you're using, and I did live television for like
Got
two
it.
years, like just sports television, and
Right.
I really enjoyed it because I hated post. And when I was doing live, I don't have to deal with it. It's over. If I
True.
screwed up, it's just done. And so
Yeah.
like, um,
Oh,
um,
post is so bad. I hate post.
yeah, like I just can't stand it. But lighting was always a weakness of mine. But like, do you enjoy lighting? I have to.
Lighting, lighting is everything.
It's
Lighting
everything,
is,
but I just sucked at it. I
yeah.
could not like.
Oh man, once you really start to get into the nitty-gritty of lighting, because like the technology that they've been developing ever since
Mm.
like the beginning of Hollywood, all this like all this gear that's been developed to like shape light to do different things. Lighting is honestly probably my second favorite thing other than actually shooting it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, lighting. Because, well, I guess you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Like, lighting's probably my first favorite thing because if the lighting sucks, then shooting it's gonna suck too.
That's true. That's true.
So you have to have good lighting, and I love experimenting with lighting. Like, I love lighting so much. Studio lighting, studio photography is my forte.
I mean, I guess
Um,
lighting really is everything because without it, your everything you envisioned is not going to happen without
that
good lighting.
that's true because all photography and filmmaking in is all it is capturing light. Y'all, that's like literally the
Right.
camera is
Right.
designed. The camera is designed to capture light. So like you can capture light when the light is bad, but when you capture light when the light is good, it's like a God-given ideology of like the sun. But then you with technology now we get to like emulate that and make it like you know like even I even lit my like Zoom chat area.
Well, even now, the lighting in your room is like so ambient and so.
Yeah, like I mean it's like I love lighting.
Yes.
Lighting is I think if anybody wants to become a photographer or filmmaker, like who cares what kind of camera you have? It doesn't matter. You have to know how to light.
Mm,
It's like being a chef but then not knowing how to chop a vegetable. It's like if you want to be excellent and do this thing that we call photography, content creation is
hmm
I guess the broad term of who what I am as a content creator. If you want to be a good content creator, like lighting is everything. Like
mm,
you have to you have to master lighting. Like
yes.
and I'm like I'll never master lighting because I know that there's so many techniques that so many people use that I learn something new every time I go on set.
Um, it's like something so obvious, but like right now I'm like mind blown because it's like, yeah, duh. Like that makes complete sense, but I never really thought about it.
I mean, nobody does because like I honestly it's the hardest thing to do on set lighting.
Thank you. Yes, it's so hard.
It is so hard sometimes.
I was like, I I need to practice. I don't get it. Like for me, it was
Yeah.
just, I think my brain too just doesn't work in certain ways. And so, again, in live sports, sports television is just everything's lit. So you don't have to
Yeah,
worry
yeah,
about it. But,
yeah.
um,
But I
it,
think even that even lighting in like sports arenas is like that's all lighting, like
right.
why
It
do they
wasn't my
need
problem, is what I'm trying to
yeah.
tell you.
No, but I mean, that's a very like that's a very particular part of that, and I think that that's cool that you studied that, like, because like the art in like live television comes from like the to me the art more is like the logistics of the team being able to
Mm.
make something that is happening right now flow so nice to the point where it's like seamless.
Oh my
that
gosh, you're the only
that
person
gives
that
me
understands me.
that gives me anxiety. Like that is like I've because like I've been a part of some live productions, and I'm like, how do you make this work?
I
It's like,
love it. I
okay,
just
we're gonna go
love
live
it.
here in 30 seconds. It's like everybody's scrambling,
So crazy.
chaos.
So beautiful. And then when it goes well, you're like, yes.
Like I will never, like I'd rather like spend 3 hours in the studio with like somebody and just like photograph them with like no with where like the concept of time just disappears and you just like do things at your own speed.
See,
That's what I like.
I can't do that.
But that's
but
cool.
but
That's cool. That's
anyways,
dope.
yeah. But
Yeah.
okay. Lighting is important. That's great advice. If you want to go in this industry, you need to learn how to light things.
Well, I guess if you want to do photographs and like be a portrait photographer, then yes, lighting. If you want to be a documentary filmmaker, yes, understanding lighting. If you want to be a filmmaker in general, understanding lighting.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what camera you own because all cameras are good now.
That's
Lighting,
true. That's true.
lighting,
Lighting. Man,
lighting,
best
lighting.
advice, I think, if you're interested in this type of field.
I want the name of the podcast to just be lighting.
Lighting.
Just John
What?
Song,
Lighting.
lighting. Just name it John Song, lighting. That's
Perfect.
it. Lighting is everything. Yeah.
All right. So, what do you like least about being a content creator?
Video editing sucks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I hate it.
So,
I
I
hate it
mean,
so
like,
much.
those YouTube videos you're doing at the genesis of all this, like, did you have to edit all of them?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, John.
I don't like to edit anymore video. I love editing photos. I don't like editing videos unless the only types of videos that I do like editing are ones that are planned out. Like
Okay,
there's a shot list
sure.
and everybody's on board and this is the vision and like it's easy to put the shots together.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my biggest fear is like me sitting a camera down in front of somebody that talks for an hour and they're like, I need you to turn this into a 3.5 minute video. And I'm like,
Right, right.
bruh, you read the Bible from like Genesis to Revelation, and you want me to give you the cliff notes. Like, you're trying to get me to sell, you want me to sell this product, but like we talked about it for 45 minutes, and like I have to somehow turn it into like a 3.5 minute video. Like, I dislike that.
A
Yeah.
little bit
So,
of a nightmare for me to think about.
yeah.
Are you, I mean, it kind of sounds like you are, but are you kind of a perfectionist?
I'm an Enneagram 3.
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
So,
Wait,
Enneagram
3? 3? I think I'm a 3. Does that mean like you're uh isn't it like you're
achiever,
overachiever?
achiever.
Yes.
Yes. I wouldn't say, I mean, I am not against the Techung life. Okay.
Okay.
Like, if you just need to throw this thing together, make it work, so be it. For the sake of time, it's for me, it's more about like, I'm constantly trying to achieve that, but I won't like inconvenience everybody around me for the sake
Okay.
of, like,
But as
I
long
have to
as you're
serve.
the only one being inconvenienced, you will.
I will go as far as I need to go to make
Yes.
it work. Yeah. If you're a 3, then we have a lot in common.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking that I was like, "Oh, you're kind of my kind of people," I think.
Yeah. Threes are very people that are threes, all have these unique quirks about them.
Hmm.
And we're not motivated by money. It's more motivated by making sure that the standard of what you're doing is to a certain level. Look, my dog just got saying
Hi.
so. That's Lolo. She looks like a little gremlin in the back. Yeah, threes are obsessed with making sure that we reach the standard that we see inside of our minds of achieving something.
um, what
Yeah.
would you say if someone is thinking about, making this their career path? Um,
Mm.
like, I guess my question is like, what kind of personality or what are some good characteristic traits that you feel like have gotten you this far?
My faith in God.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because like I've really been getting into the Enneagram.
I mean, I heard
And
it's pretty spot on. I only took the test and I haven't studied it, but from what I can tell from everybody else, I'm like, wow, that does sound like you. Like, when they tell me their numbers.
yeah,
Um, but why
um,
do you say that? Is that like, do you feel like it has
because
had a lot to do with how you've gotten where you are today?
I love it because it helps me understand people on a deeper level without having to like spend hours of conversation.
Yes. Yes, that makes
Um,
sense.
for me, I don't know. My faith in like I can't speak for anybody else that wants to get into this. Like I don't think you need to have a specific personality style,
Mm,
but I will say religion, believing in a higher power, um, is one thing. For me, I am monotheistic. I believe in God,
mm,
the Holy Trinity. I believe Jesus died for my sins. I believe he resurrected, and I believe that if I believe that, that I will go to heaven. Whatever your particular religion is or what you believe in, like I believe that just believing in a higher power is important because it's not about yourself all the time. It's about what you are being used to do.
mm,
Um, the second most important thing, you have to know how to budget properly your finances. Because to be your own boss means that you have to manage your own money.
mm,
And that money is not going to come from anywhere except like from you. Like I always used to say this when I first started out. The best way to make money is to save it. You got to save your money. Like you don't go out don't go out to Hanshin, bro, on Friday. Don't blow that $86 on that like padak and like that, like
yes.
your friends, like they'll be there. You have to stay home and like work on your craft.
Mm,
I think budgeting is like the one thing because like you have to know what you're financially capable of. Like you can't just step out and be like, I'm gonna make this work. Like, no, save up money for 6 months. If like a huge thing for me was like I couldn't create at my mom's house. Like I had to move out.
mm,
So like I had to like figure out how to move out so that I could have my own space to work and create and to like make it my own and not have this like oppressive tiger mom energy over me all the time. Like I needed to create that space for myself. So like budgeting is number two.
mm.
Like and yeah, honestly, I think it's just those two things. Like your personality, like, oh yeah, like obviously work hard, like find the thing that you can do better than everybody else and then just stick to it, you
Wow.
know, and like just do that thing, like, like, but I think honestly, like knowing how to manage the money that to manage the wealth that you have right now is going to help you manage the wealth that you will eventually have in the future. Like, get used to managing that while you kind of pour, so that when you start getting paid for stuff, that you don't go blow it on a Beamer or whatever. Like, I still drive a Honda. Like, I love my Honda. Like, I don't want to have like nice things like that, you know? Like, stuff like, I don't know. Like, I think believing in a higher power, budgeting,
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
most important things.
Man,
Yeah.
that's like really sound advice. Please, if you missed it, don't. Because um I'm
Yeah.
learning too. Like those are some, not just like with your particular career, but in life, right?
Yeah.
Like having kids and doing life. It's like, I'm like, how do people not believe in anything? Like honestly, again, not to
Right.
judge or anything like that. It's just like, because life is the way that it is, it's difficult for me to understand that you're not relying on something else,
Mm.
in certain situations. But and yeah, and money. It's like money.
I
but
mean, yeah, like we live in a capitalistic world. Like, you have to play by its rules if you want to have
mm,
some sort of success, you know?
yeah, for sure.
That's the truth.
Well, John, was there anything else that you wanted to be able to share today, that maybe I missed or didn't ask you about?
Um, I think, no, I feel good about what we
Yeah.
said. Like, everything was, I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too. Well, I really
Yeah.
appreciate you again, John. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, so
No, I
thank
was
you.
looking forward to this like all week, ever since you asked me. Like,
Stop. That
I don't
means
really,
a lot. Can
no,
you stop?
I think the last podcast I did was like David Shin's like 2 years ago.
No, you guys had a podcast.
Oh yeah, I mean, that podcast, that was stressful because like it was, making a podcast is hard. Hosting a podcast is hard because
I
like,
do the bare minimum though. I don't
no,
really
you asked very good questions, and I think
like.
the flow of it was very nice. I think like, yeah, I had to cut that off because like I felt like it was just taking too much time away from the other stuff that I was doing.
I see. It was a good one though.
Yeah.
You guys only had a couple episodes, but they were good.
We did 10 episodes, and I was like, that's it. Cutting it off.
And I will say you did them during a time where it was very relevant in the
Mm,
conversations you guys had. So I was appreciative of those 10. But you did a
thank you.
podcast. David
I
Shin's
for
was a while ago though.
I forgot that we did a podcast for so long. Wow. No, shout out to Kat. She was producing those.
That's right. That's right.
Got mad love for
You know,
that
me and
girl.
Kat went to church together for a little while.
Really?
That's how
Wow.
I know
Yeah.
her. So
Kat is like, she's like my daughter.
yeah, no, I mean, and I've been watching her grow, and I know that a lot of it is because you provided some outlets for her too. So again, I'm super thankful for who you guys are as a team, you and Jennifer, and
Yeah.
empowering creative people. It's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you so much. We're
Yeah.
just, let's all continue to work hard and raise these little sekis so that they
Yeah.
could. 아이고, 새끼 많이 컸어, 새끼들.
Well,
No.
guys, I just want to say thank you for listening. If you have any questions for me, or even maybe questions for John, would it be okay if I connected you with some people if they had
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah. I mean, my responses might be like here and there, but please reach out with any questions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, John, and thanks you guys for listening. Until next time. Bye.
Until next time, bye.
Peace.
Peace.